Well, hello there, Chick Chatters. We're back and we're talking about the Kardashians. We have not talked about them in a while. This isn't going to be like a full-blown episode recap. We're just going to kind of go over episodes 1 and 2, but mainly the meeting between Khloe and Lamar. I think when it comes to the Kardashians, we're not going to do our regular episode recaps. We're just going to come and talk about them whenever there's actually something interesting because they just haven't been that interesting lately. But this was interesting.
Agreed. It's amazing to see Khloe and Lam back together, regardless of the circumstances. So I'm definitely excited to talk about that. And I'm excited to see another season. I mean, I don't want to speak for Anne, but I'm excited to see it going. I'm just not as excited when I'm watching it anymore.
Keeping up with the Kardashians used to be a little bit more exciting to watch for some reason. I think it's just because I stopped really caring about Kim. I think Kim is just really unrelatable, like we were talking about earlier. It's really hard to watch her complain about her kids when she's got 50 nannies and her unrealistic work schedule, her unrealistic life. And yeah, it's just kind of hard to see these people, one, doing all these CO2 admissions and just the unrealisticness of it. They're ruining our environment single-handedly. What was it with the fires they had? They're all complaining about the fires in the fire department and them not having enough water, but then you look at their water usage, and I think Kim, her water usage over 200,000 gallons last year, and Khloe was 100,000 gallons of water extra, not in general, extra. Yeah. So because they're trying to keep up these lawns, and mind you, California is usually in like a drought. Most people don't have great looking lawns, but they have luscious lawns because they spend hundreds of, probably thousands of dollars.
They're using a lot of resources in general, definitely. I don't know. I definitely agree with all of that, but I still really enjoy watching Khloe. But I totally get what you're saying. I think the consumerism is definitely a big thing, and the Kardashians really put that out into the world for us to take in. So I think you're definitely right about that. But yeah, Kim is just hard to relate to these days. I am liking what's going on with Khloe. I'm liking to see Trav and Kourtney live out their little love bubble.
Whatever they'll let us watch.
Yeah, and I do enjoy seeing Kylie and Kendall, especially together. Although, for some reason, so far, the first 2 episodes of this season, their confessionals seem kind of fake and forced to me. They seem really superficial. Maybe it will get better as they have some experiences together to talk about during the season. But right now, they just seem like they're trying too hard, kind of.
Like, oh my gosh, we're so lucky to bring our sister to work every day. Like,
yeah, where are you going? Because I haven't seen them go anywhere. Like, I just feel confused when I see them right now. So maybe later I'll feel better because I love to see them. I especially love Kylie.
I think they meant about the promo shoots, but I'm like, that's not really, I don't know, whatever, you guys.
Kylie wasn't even there.
Whatever makes you guys feel special. Y'all are lucky, but we love to hear how lucky you guys are.
So I'm happy for another season. I would definitely be sad if this show went away, but it's definitely not making me as excited. Usually when I'm watching the episode, I'm on the edge of my seat. I love to see everything they're doing, and I found myself scrolling and having to rewind a couple times, which is not a good sign.
Honestly, I think the Kardashians are almost getting played out. Getting to the end of their era, they're not as influential as they used to be. The 2010s was like their era, and I think now they're getting older, and now it's like they're trying to almost shift the focus on their kids and make their kids as famous. We're starting to get into that second generation, and I don't know how I feel about it. I just like how they used to be and how different they are from where they were.
I think especially watching the second episode, there were so many clips from the Khloe and Lamar era. That was right when all the spinoffs were happening, and everything was just so funny and silly, and they were not taking themselves too seriously. It almost makes it feel worse, the contrast of what's going on right now, where it's just so superficial. It's all a big advertisement for something. It's so different than the show
used to be. And perfectly put together. And
I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit having so many flashbacks this second episode with Khloe and Lamar, because it really made me miss the old series the way it used to be.
Yeah,
I know they can't be that messy all the time now because they're so powerful, but I wish that they could find a way, especially Kim, to not take herself so seriously, because she wants her role to be this businesswoman and us to like that, but we just want to see you be kind of yourself and funny and normal, and
maybe be a mom. I don't know.
Maybe hang out with your kids once in a while. Not even all the time, but this
more than once a season would be great.
Yes. This whole I'm flying to here and then I'm going there, and it's just a lot. She keeps ripping her wig off and showing people her blonde hair like it's such a crazy thing, and I just was over it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, she did a few things this episode. That she went to meet up with Kamala Harris. I don't know. It's just her storyline to me is just not that fun, and I don't care to watch it.
I wouldn't mind seeing her doing this activism thing more, yes, and then just kind of see her be more with her family. We like the family vibe. We like to see them all together.
Yeah, I wish they would have talked more about what the hell that activism thing was about, because honestly, I didn't even really understand what the meeting was for, and I watched the episode like 3 times, and I still didn't really understand what was going on. I got more information about Kim's boob situation than what the hell the meeting was actually about, so
Honestly, this part I liked watching. I thought it was so Kim K that she was late and changing in front of the White House and chaotic and whatever. Like,
I love that guy looking in the vehicle
I
even though
loved the guy looking in there, even if it wasn't happening then. I thought the whole thing was hilarious. It even got my husband's attention. He was laughing at it. I'm sure the boobs got his attention, and then he saw the guy and he was like, like it was just funny though. This is what I like to see about Kim, not all of the drawn out. I'm a fashion Nova supermodel.
know everything.
Yeah.
So the real meat and potatoes this episode is Khloe. Khloe meets up with Malika. Malika brings up seeing Lamar at the Super Bowl. And that gets started on this conversation of Khloe has his things still. She's been finding things here and there from moving and everything, which I think that's a little strange. How do you just find it randomly?
Well, when you live in houses as big as them, and I'm
Maybe.
sure they have storage units they probably don't go through. I know that I have boxes in my own basement that are just hundreds of feet away from me that I haven't opened since I moved here. Once in a while, you probably do find a couple strange
things. Whenever she finds something, she cuts it to the side or puts it in a trunk to give to Lamar one day. So she's been going through this, I guess, for the last 10 years, because it's been 10 years since she's seen Lamar. She gives us a little backstory too, that when her and Lamar got divorced and they were selling their house, that she bought him a storage unit, and she put all of the furniture and all the things that she thought he would need for the next home in that storage unit. She was even paying on the storage unit. And when she thought Lamar was in a good enough place, she offered him the key to the storage unit and said, "This is all your things." And he said, "No, give that to my best friend," which I'm wondering if was his name Jamie. I believe he had a best friend that I remember seeing on the Khloe and Lamar show. And I'm just assuming it's him. I don't know if it's him. This is alleged, but I wondering if it's him, because I know he also battled addiction himself, and I believe he's passed on.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it sounds like whether it was him or a different best friend of his sold off everything in the unit and turned out to just take everything from Lamar. Some of this stuff we knew, like we knew how much Khloe took care of Lamar. In fact, it was even shown a little bit on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. We knew how involved she was in his care, even though at the time they were starting their divorce proceedings. But then she put that on pause so she could take care of him. So we know how much Khloe helped with that part. And then she does talk about what made her stop helping Lamar out and even considering almost a marriage. So I think she almost thought maybe if he came out of this and he was able to be a good husband to her, like
sober and
yeah, like that maybe they could work this out. But I think once she walked in on him using again,
that was it. Apparently she punched him in the face and smashed everything in the house, she says. And I don't think she would lie about that.
I believe her. I think he even wrote about this in his book. Remember Lamar came out with a book or even a documentary, I think a couple years ago. And I believe he did say Khloe punched him in the face. I remember him saying there was an altercation with Khloe, but that it wasn't like she was beating him. It was his fault kind of thing. Like he deserved it.
You know? Why in the hell is he sitting here at Malika's house saying, "Oh, I don't remember that"? He wasn't denying it, but he was saying that he didn't remember. There was a lot of things he wasn't denying in this conversation.
Maybe I'm getting confused because you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think he said Chris was there. This might have just been a time where she found out he cheated and you know they got into an altercation then, and Chris was there. He said so. Maybe it wasn't this time, but yeah, I think Lamar likes to push some things out of his mind, especially because he was using a lot at the time. So I'm not sure how great his memory would be. I mean, if he was in a coma and all that, I'm sure he doesn't remember a lot of that. I'm sure he blacked out a lot of it, just like Khloe blacked out half their conversation. But luckily for her, it's filmed. But
I mean, honestly, a lot of probably what Lamar was doing is filmed too, which just wasn't aired. Because they were in their house. They did a couple seasons of Khloe and Lamar. Really up until it got pretty yucky.
Pretty much till he like disappeared. I remember there was like a couple seasons of Keeping Up where I was like, where is Lamar? And
everybody was wondering where Lamar was, and he was just IA on drugs.
Chloe was even wondering where he was. She was only getting a phone call from him every now and then, and people were like, this isn't normal. And she was like, I know, but
he was aware. What are you gonna do? So they do end up scheduling a meetup at Malika's house, which is a nice neutral location, and Malika is thrilled to be involved in all of this because she loves to be a fly on the wall.
I think she wants them back together. I think
everybody wants them back. Part of me wants them back together. Kim was talking about how she's like, why are we like this? But I think they really are soulmates. But I'm not mad at either one of them for not working to try to be together anymore.
It's kind of like how Scott and Kourtney, people always see them as soulmates. Even they do, but they just can't be together. It was like right person, bad timing kind of thing. But yeah, I think if Lamar would have stayed sober, I think they would still be married. Or if he would have got sober before a few years back and actually stayed sober after his incident, like they probably would still be together. But whatever, it's neither here nor there at this point. They meet up at Malika's, and I thought it was so funny when Khloe shows up. She's like, I was gonna wear this skirt or this dress, but then I decided I'll just wear my uniform. You're in a Skims onesie. I have the same one. I could see your nipples the entire time, girl. You were definitely giving some mixed signals.
She was giving all kinds of signals and trying to explain their signals away, and you could tell that she was really in her head. Understandably so. They haven't seen each other in 10 years. It's definitely going to be awkward, but
she could have wore a hoodie if she really wasn't trying to show no nipples.
She said it was really hot that day.
True. They're inside. She could have wore a t-shirt.
Well, that's why we were getting this.
Yeah, we're getting all this, but I was like thinking, like, girl, you know, you kind of wanted to look pretty damn good.
Of course. And you know what? You can't really admit that on television either. Whatever with your, it's a hot day, but my nipples are hard.
But either way, Lamar's late, which is just
he's like an hour late. She said he was 50 something minutes late.
But he was late because he was getting her stuff. But he brought in a cake. He brought in roses. He brought in balloons and all types of stuff.
I hate this.
I was like, oh no, Lamar. But he also wore a shirt with his own face on it, and I died. Not even just his face. It was like his face, like.
I know. So the thing is, I didn't know that it was his face until the first time he smiled. And then I was like, that's him. That's him.
Well, Khloe, when he walked in, she's like, oh, wow, you're wearing a shirt with your own face.
See, I didn't see that until Chris commented on it later on, but I noticed it before that. But it took until he smiled, which took a while because he was incredibly nervous when he came in with his cake and all of that. I think he was just stalling.
I was physically cringing because I was like, oh my God, this is so awkward. They've gone this long without ever speaking. I'm sure they've all wondered what it would be like to talk to each other again. This meetup was a long time coming. Obviously, Khloe's had this stuff, and she knew at one point she was going to have to see him to give it to him. Because of the incident with the best friend, she knew that if she ever gave him his stuff back again, she wanted to go directly to him. And even if he wasn't in the right state of mind, whatever happens with it, happened with it, you know? But at least she did what she felt was right. So yeah, Lamar gets there. It's really, really awkward. Almost they leave off the first episode with it being still a little bit awkward, but it was getting better. What broke the ice was she showed him his stuff. She's like, you want to see your 6th man of the year, which I don't even know what the hell that is. 6th man of the year? Does that mean he was the 6th best man of the year? Or does that mean it was the 6th time he was man of the year? Or
is that like the Sixers? Isn't that a basketball team?
Is it? I don't know what the hell she was talking about. But she also had his championship rings, his wedding rings, and
NBA 6th Man of the Year award.
What is the 6th man? Why wouldn't you just want to be the first one?
Trophy named after 8-time NBA champion John Havlicek to the league's best performing player for his team coming off the bench as a substitute or 6th man. That's what it is.
Oh, 6th man on the court. Okay, that makes more sense to me. So basically, Lamar got a trophy for being the best bench
warmer. And she held on to that bitch like it was gold. It probably was made of gold or something.
Could have been. I bet it was a real bench in there. The trophy is a bench. Anyway, so she had that. She had this necklace that had the angel wings, which represented his mom, one of his kids, like a friend or something. There was 3 wings. I just don't remember who they were all for. But
I think it was like his mom and his grandma, or I think it was people that were above him generationally, and then the other one that was gold was his child. It could have been an aunt. It could have been a grandma. I don't know.
Were you the whole time trying to catch a glimpse of Lamar's hand to see if he had that KO tattoo still? Because I was trying so hard. But if he's so dark, it's hard to tell.
Think about that. I totally forgot about that.
I know Khloe got hers removed several years back, but I have a feeling Lamar still has his, especially when he comes in saying, oh, my wife is so great. I can't stand that. The gaslighting to me. It's like, she's not your wife anymore. Stop calling her babe. I couldn't stand that.
That's what made her kind of lose it.
Yeah, I was really upset. No, you can come in here and say Coco or Chloe or whatever, but the babe and the wife and all that was just a little much for me.
You came on strong. The man walked in with flowers, champagne, a cake with their wedding date on it. I'm not sure what time of the year it was when they were filming, but
I think it was around Met, so it would have been May.
So it wasn't very near September. I just thought he came on too strong the whole entire time, while also acknowledging that he knew it was going to be awkward and weird. I don't know what his point was, honestly, in doing all of that. I thought it was a little bit immature.
Lamar was hoping for a reconciliation, really. I think that's why he was also like, I'd love to be your friend, because he was hoping that one day that might build into something, which bless his heart for trying, but it's a little too late.
Bless his heart. No, I definitely get those vibes because that's why I made that face when you even brought it up in the beginning when you talked about how he showed up with flowers and all of that. I definitely get that vibe that he's trying to do all of that, but I just think it's so ridiculous at this point. The concept of Khloe and Lamar getting back together, they really were the loves of each other's lives, and I think they were a great match, but not anymore. No.
It's just too far removed. I think if he would have just came in with the champagne and flowers, that would have been enough for me.
I don't think he needed to come with anything if it was going to make him late. That's the thing that really pissed me off was I've been there before where a guy will show up with whatever and blah, 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 but he's late or didn't follow through on something else and whatever. And it's like, don't use the stuff you do for someone as an excuse to why you also inconvenience them or screw them out. I hate that kind of stuff.
Right.
And
you could have picked this stuff up earlier in the day or the
yeah,
day before.
you showed no actual intention of trying to do something nice. In fact, you took time away from me so that you could get me something that I don't care about. She didn't want that champagne. She brought the flowers home to be nice. Why in the world would you bring a cake with the anniversary on there? Who's going to eat that? What a waste of time and money. She ate one bite of it and then started yelling at him.
What was so funny about that cake is I didn't even remember him bringing it in, so I thought Malika made that because she was letting it.
She was cutting it up. She was their little butler.
I was like, no, Malika did not. But she didn't. It was Lamar. That is so funny. I was like, that would be something I might do because that's hilarious to break the ice. Happy 15-year anniversary. Yeah, it would have been 15 years in 2024. They would have been married 15 years.
Wow.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
I agree with Khloe that if he never would have became a addict, that they would be married still. I think Khloe really does put her all into people. I think she really wanted that marriage to work. I think that's why it took so long for her to get divorced. It took her 3 or 4 years to get divorced.
Well, part of that was because he was incapacitated and she took care of him.
Yes. But another part of that is because she's sentimental and she really did want that marriage to work.
Yeah, she could have divorced him while he was incapacitated. They had already, I think, been kind of starting with that. And then, like you said, she stopped and took care of him and all of that. And I think she also would have stayed with him if he didn't go back to the trifle life.
Which Khloe and Kourtney have said before when it comes to Scott and stuff. The cheating isn't what turned them off completely. I don't know how, but it wasn't just the cheating. It was more the addiction for both of them that was worse, which it is hand in hand, honestly. Like if you're an addict, you're more likely to cheat, to be real, because it's inhibiting you. I don't know. Lamar changed when he was on those drugs. I don't know if he was on them the entire time. It sounds like Khloe just didn't know he was an addict for several years, that he was an addict the whole time.
I think he probably was, but he had it under control and more manageable until, he didn't, obviously. But he does say at one point during this, I think pretty early on in the conversation, he says that he wishes he would have known how much power that he would have attained when he married her. And it looks like you have opinions about this situation as well. And there's part of me that sort of gets the thing of being with the Kardashians, having a show, all of that kind of thing. I think she took that as what it's like to be married because her response was like, well, you made this commitment and it's your fault if you can't follow through with it, which I also agree with. But I think this is like him explaining the Kardashian curse just about as close as he can get.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because that's not what I got out of it. I got the same thing Khloe kind of got out of it. Because the word power, I think, is what is the key word here. Because usually it's like, I didn't know what I had till I lost it kind of thing. But that's what I think she was getting. And that's kind of what I got out of it first. Because it's like, yeah, Khloe's gonna be like, of course I told you I'm great. Like, you don't want to lose me.
I think that's what he meant when he was like, I fucked it up. And she wanted him to say it. So she said, fucked what up? And he said, everything with you. I think that was that part. But when he said power, I paid more attention to that. And I think he is explaining the Kardashian curse, which is
show and having all the
men just don't know what the hell they're getting into. And they're not equipped, especially someone like Lamar, who didn't have a support outside of that at all.
Well, he had his NBA fame, but it wasn't nearly on the level that the Kardashians became. The spin-off shows and all of the publicity, and they had the fragrance line. So I think really he might have had like the drug issue before Khloe, but I think maybe all of that pressure and all of that
stuff, power at that point just exploded the drug problem.
Yeah, and that might have made the cheating easier too. If you're Khloe's husband, I mean, girls might look at how Tristan was too. Right. Once
at that point, you're probably the most popular athlete when it comes to being in Las Vegas, around strippers, around groupies. You're just the most well-known athlete. He was the most well-known athlete during that year. He was winning awards. He was on a show. there's not very many football players, basketball players, and all of them are popular in their own right that have television shows that focus on their own lives at home. It happens, but it's rare even for them to have that level of cultural relevancy where women are watching their lives and talking about their day to day.
Lamar didn't marry Khloe. He wouldn't be as almost infamous as he is. It's not like he's
today.
Kobe Bryant. And they show Kobe Bryant, actually. That made me so sad. That made me sad how much they focused on Kobe on that wedding flashback.
It was a little eerie.
I know. She brought him up too when she said in the hospital, Kobe was even there. I was like, Kobe.
Yeah. I don't know.
That makes me so sad. That whole situation is tragic and still sad, and I still can't believe that happened. Don't show me Kobe and Vanessa. This is gonna make my heart melt. Stop.
That was sad.
That was almost sadder than this whole conversation, but it's kind of like bittersweet in a way, because I've always been waiting for this meeting. There's this little part of me that wants them back together, but at the same time, seeing Lamar call her his wife and babe and make things a little bit more uncomfortable. Okay, Lamar, he has said this openly in interviews and whatever. He considers Khloe his wife, and he even said as much to her when he was talking to her. He's like, "We made that commitment in front of God, and I just take that to heart." Okay, but you didn't act that way. We're married, but
you made the commitment also to be faithful and all of that in front of God, and you didn't follow through with that. So you don't have the right to call someone your wife anymore. But I get his perspective. I don't agree with it, but I get where he's coming from in his weird frame of reference. But he doesn't have the right to call her that babe and all of that. And I think that that's really what kind of sent her over the edge, because she was pretty guarded the whole time. And then eventually he just called her babe one too many times, and she was just like, "I have a name. It's Coco."
Malika said something too.
That was a little bit harsh. And that's when every single meme that Khloe has read and shared with us on Snapchat came flooding into her brain and memory. And she said, "The truth hurts one time and a lie hurts thousands of times. And so I'm going to tell him so he knows he has no right to call me his wife, because he lost the right doing naughty things in terrible spaces." Terrible.
It's your fault.
It was his fault. And you know what his response was? "I didn't go to that brothel with any drugs."
Which sent this woman, I was there in the hospital.
We were all there, Lamar.
His narrative is that he felt like somebody slipped him something.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not impossible, but what else were you going to a brothel to do?
Right. It's very possible that he went there without anything in his possession and then acquired something while he was there. And it seems like he's also trying to even push the narrative more so that someone even possibly OD'd him, maybe even intentionally.
And it could have happened. I'm not saying that that's not impossible. But
she said you were doing things in a place you weren't supposed to be doing them. Thank God he's alive, but you have consequences when you go places like that.
I mean, you were in a brothel in Las Vegas and you had been a long time at it.
You recognize now at least how much power you had, and people will take advantage of you in those kinds of situations and positions. And that's why Khloe wouldn't let any nurse touch him afterwards, because she knows people take
and if you were slipped something or whatever, it's also because you're putting yourself in these situations. Like, you're in the brothel. You shouldn't be in a brothel. You're a married man. You shouldn't be in a Vegas brothel. You shouldn't be doing illicit substances and stuff like that. So I think because you already have that history, it's harder to believe that somebody would have just drugged Lamar Odom, 7-8 feet tall man, for what? It's not like he was even attached to the Kardashians at that point. They were already pretty much going through a divorce. It's just she put him on pause so she could take care of him. And she's a saint for that. I don't care. Like, she is a saint for doing that. And most people would not. He had not really much family. He had his kids, but I think his kids were still pretty young at the time, maybe in their late teens and stuff like that. She
could very possibly still be in an assisted living facility to this very day if she didn't put the time and effort and investment into his life and well-being and memory.
He would be dead. His dad wanted to take him off life support, according to her.
No. Yeah.
If that's true. I don't know if that's true. But
she was delivering some low blows for a reason. So I want to kind of take that little snippet with a grain of salt, but I believe it too. I know him and his dad. We saw in Khloe and Lamar in the spinoff that there was a lot going on between them and really all of his family. Again, that happens when you have power, right? People assume all kinds of things and become really selfish around you. I think it's so sad if that.
I wonder if she already told him about the dad situation.
If that's the time he heard that, I think it's really harsh. But she has been through so much. I'm not mad at her.
She was the one that took care of him. Your own dad wanted to take you off life support because he's on your life insurance policy. That is sad.
Yeah.
But I hope that that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
His dad was an addict as well.
True. And at the time, Lamar might have looked like he wasn't going to make it. I mean, I don't know the situation.
If his dad pulled the plug and his dad is an addict as well, that money would be gone already.
Oh yeah, it would have been gone 3 days later. It's just sad.
Yeah, addiction is a really hard thing. They talk a little bit about that once she talks with him.
They give Lamar back his things. He's trying to reminisce. It does get better. The second episode where they start off, it is a lot less awkward. It seems like they had a lot of more one-on-one time. I don't know what Malika was doing. I would have been Malika in another room. Like
she was. I know she was because she knew when it was time for cake. As soon as things started lightening up, she heard a little chuckle. She said, "I'm right here. Are we ready to have the cake?
I got your anniversary cake right here." She's like, I don't even know how he knows the date. Did he Google it? He probably does know. I mean, guys aren't, when the day comes, sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know the date, but he probably knows the date. I mean, even my husband knows the date.
Even if he didn't know it then, if he really was, on as many drugs as she feels like he might have been, I'm sure he knows it now. He does seem to have a level of regret and awareness and understanding now that maybe he didn't have back then. But I'm sure he does know it now. I'm sure he didn't have to Google it. He probably had it embroidered into something or whatever. So he figured it out either way.
I had secondhand empathy when he saw her phone and he was like, your little boy looks just like you. I was like, because I remember that season where they were trying to have a baby, but Khloe wasn't actually trying to have a baby because she knew what was going on behind the scenes. So she was just pretending that she was trying to have a baby. But yeah, it just made me sad because I'm like, could have been you, Lamar. Could have been you.
Craziness.
Y'all kids would have been 10 to 14 years old or something right now. It's crazy.
It's so true.
She's the first to get married in that whole family. I mean, well, Kim's been married, but I don't really count her marriage.
Yeah. Oh my god.
She had been married to that producer before, but we didn't see any of that. So
we didn't. This meeting went so much like the typical meeting that I think anyone has with their ex after a really long time. It's super awkward. They didn't really know what to say. They ask about how their people are doing. They ask about what they're up to. They exchange some things with each other. And then when they called Kris, that was a nice icebreaker. And she was shooketh to see that man, I think, as anyone would be. And they both had tears in their eyes.
I think Lamar was almost more nervous to talk to Kris in a way than Khloe because he felt that mother bond with her because he lost his mom so young. So Kris filled that void for him, as Khloe said. And I think he just felt like he couldn't face her because he felt like he disappointed her. And Kris is just so forgiving. I mean, she still loves Tristan. I mean, for God's sakes. So yeah, she don't love Caitlyn.
A moment of silence.
A moment of silence for those of us who know that she should not be loving Trash Can Thompson. But
another moment.
Another moment for Trash Can. Anyways, that man was punching the air. You know it. And hearing Khloe say, oh, he was the love of my life. You know Trash Can Thompson was just...
Yeah, well, he lost his chance.
Oh, yeah, but remember when Lamar commented on a picture of Khloe a few years back and he put like hard eyes and then Tristan went off on it.
Yeah, he was done.
He cheated on her too. It's like, man, put your dick back in your
Both of them. Neither one of you have any reason to be out here as if you have any kind of claim over anything. You all voluntarily lost your claim. You lost it.
A long time ago too. For Lamar, you're just so far removed at this point. I just feel like Lamar does really truly live with tons of regret. And I do feel bad for him for that. I can't imagine being so addicted to drugs to where it has changed your whole life and everything that you thought you were going to be married to this woman forever. You had a really good, solid, strong woman. You really messed it up. And to know that it was drugs related and that if you weren't on drugs, I mean, think of him watching this episode back to hear Khloe say, if he wouldn't have ever been an addict, we'd still be married today. He was the love of my life, all these things. That's got to be so hard because
that's exactly how he feels too. Yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking for both people. I don't think Khloe should be with Lamar, but the 2010 version of me is just so bad.
Well, I think Khloe should have been with the Lamar that she met and married, but not the Lamar that was not ready for the responsibility of being a Kardashian husband and a drug addict at the same time.
So Khloe says that she has to leave. She's like, it's time for me to get my kids.
I got kids, I gotta go. The classic mom excuse.
They were probably there for like 4 hours.
So he kept him waiting for an hour. That was at least an hour-long meeting. So
they started at 3 and they said she was leaving at like 6:30ish. So it was like 3 hours.
It's a production. I feel like they had to have been there all day.
Yeah, so it was time for her to go get her kids. She left with the roses. I mean, they ate some of that cake, but I'm sure it stayed at Malika's house. And probably the champagne too. But I
wanted some of that cake.
Khloe gives Lamar a hug outside and then he walks right back into Malika's house. I was like, is he going to get his stuff? Yes. I was like, is he going to get his stuff? Because that's the only thing that makes sense here.
He probably did need to go get his stuff. He wanted to chase her out to the car. He got her to her car and he probably wanted to chase her out just to make sure.
Because at first we walked back in Malika's, I'm like, was he going to hang out with her and watch Bridgerton?
Have some more cake and champagne? Wait for Rob to come home?
Oh yeah, he made a comment about Rob, which I thought was so 2013 of him to do. I don't know if you're living in a different time period or what, but he thought Rob would be there.
Yeah, I don't know if he did think that that was Khloe's house and he was trying to just cover it up by saying that, or if he truly thought.
See, I don't think so, because I think he knows Khloe's house would be triple the size. I think Malika was like, "You can come to my house." I think Malika orchestrated it, so he must have known he was at Malika's. So I think he thought Rob and Malika were just building.
But like I said earlier, he ain't been in a coma for 10 years. He knows that that's not what's going on.
You know what I would love to see, though? Now that we had this Khloe and Lamar conversation, which I've been waiting for forever, so I'm really glad that we all got closure on this. But I would love to see him have a conversation with Rob. I think Rob was just as hurt as Khloe. I would love to see them kind of rekindle. I think that's who he could be friends with.
True. I wish we could see anything about Rob these days, though.
Miss him. He was always so funny, honestly. He was a wet dream for me for many years.
I know. So beautiful, man.
So beautiful until he fell off and got all depressed and shit. That started happening when he was living with Khloe and Lamar. Maybe that was partially.
It did. I think there was a lot of darkness going on when Khloe realizes what's going on and realizes what that means for her marriage, and then he's going on and on doing the things he's doing. It probably was really quite yucky there for a while.
So Chris actually kept the secret to herself, which
Shocking.
I was shocked, completely shocked. They were all getting ready for the Met Gala. I don't have much to say about it except for I missed North being there. I thought it was much more interesting when North was there.
She wouldn't even answer a FaceTime either, so we couldn't even get her opinion.
None of her kids care to talk to her right now.
Yeah, I think somebody answered her on a FaceTime because she noticed that they were in her closet, but we didn't get any opinions on the outfit.
So after the Met, Chris, Khloe, and Kim have a conversation. And I'm not talking about the conversation about Brad. I don't even want to get into that. I don't care about Brad. That was a stupid waste of 10 minutes of my time. But they talked about Lamar. It went about as good as any conversation with Kim's going to go. But
she took every opportunity to make it about herself. Every single solitary one. It's a skill, honestly, that I can respect her for at this point.
She came in like a bra and sweatpants. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not a celebrity and maybe I'm not like high fashion and stuff. Because I mean, look at me. I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. But like, I don't really go to hang out with my mom and sister in a sports bra. I just want to even be comfortable. I feel like I have to suck in the whole time.
I think probably normal people, yes, but the Kardashians, I think Kris sees her in less than that.
Oh, definitely. She's seen her 360, especially if you believe the stuff about the X tapes and all that. Kris is involved. It's not the visually, it's just like the comfortability for me. Like I don't want to go have a conversation with people where I'm sitting down, I'm in a sports bra. Like, maybe if I was in an event where I'm standing up the whole time, but I'm just not comfortable like that. I don't know. I don't get it. But maybe it's just me and I'm not skinny like that. But anyway,
they're just not Kim Kardashian, which is understandable.
Yeah, Khloe, which I loved her little sweater. I like her sweater and that better than Kim's little Met Gala sweater, but that's just me. Khloe is starting to tell Kim about meeting up with Lamar, and Kim guesses who it is right away.
He is a great detective.
I do the same thing. I've done it before where someone has been like, oh, guess who? And I guessed who right on the spot. Sometimes it's just like an instinct. The name just comes out like word vomit, and you're right. It's weird how the world works.
We're all in tune somehow.
Or I think Kris might have let it slip to her, at the Met
That's
Gala
also like just as likely.
She's like, I'm psychic. And I'm like, and maybe Kris slipped it in there. Oh, you got to come over and talk today. And Kim didn't want to. And she's like, well, Khloe's going to tell you about her meeting with Lamar.
So she ran over in her bra right away.
She couldn't even get clothes on.
She came in. She threw on her boyfriend's sweater. She ran into the house from the garden.
We talked about that whole concept. I was like, okay, that's so specific and weird. But I wonder what TV show you watched where this happened.
Go on, Kim.
Sure, girl. Because she's like, everybody thought it was a last minute decision. And another thing that happened to Kim actually this episode is she went on that roast and she got booed, and they talked about that. There was a conspiracy that she had Netflix take down the booing, which I kind of still think might have happened. But she says that didn't happen. She's like, I can't erase what was. It's like, okay. But
she did seem offended about it, but she was trying not to be offended about it.
All I heard were boos. I didn't hear people calling her a whore.
Because when you do a roast, you don't just roast the person, you roast the people around. She wasn't on the stage. She was in the crowd, and she did just do a toast and a 2 or 3 minute couple of jokes, but people did make jokes about her because she was there.
Yeah. What I was confused by was she said that her plan was to leave right after her toast, and I'm like, but who comes to a roast and just leaves right after they say something? They're going to make fun of you as well, and they're going to pan the camera to you, and where they're going to pan to an empty seat.
I think at least her thing is, and I halfway believe it, I think she didn't know exactly what she was signing up for, and she probably would have been able to sneak out if people weren't watching her after she got booed when she went. And she
Right.
wouldn't have gotten booed by people if there weren't a bunch of sports fans out in the live audience, because the professionals there wouldn't have booed her. They would have just been quiet if they don't like her. So
Yeah.
I think she didn't know exactly what she was signing up for, but at the same time, she doesn't make any sense these days. She's just out doing things to do things. If you're gonna do a roast, then show up and be on the couch in the back and do the roast.
Wasn't
Or
the
don't.
thing that she might have been dating Tom Brady or something at the point? Because how the hell are you at Tom Brady's roast anyways? Like, I've never seen you mention him once
Think
in your
that
life.
actually is like, because at some point there's a man that she wants to build a closet for. Do you think it's him? Still curious why in the hell she was there just to do a toast.
The rumor was that she was seeing him, but then there was somebody else she was rumored to be dating at this time, Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I think that might have been who she was going to build a closet with and for and stuff like that. Apparently, it just kind of like fizzled out between them. But
right, that could be it. You're right.
Yeah, but Khloe talk about how she will eventually date and how she needed all this time to heal and stuff from what she went through. And Kim loves dating. She said, "I'm not a single kind of girl." So her and Khloe are just very
attention
polar
and
opposites.
affection and love and worshiping from anyone who will give it to her.
I'm actually surprised she stayed married to Kanye for so long, because it seemed like the last 3 years of their marriage, the man wasn't even there.
Well, I think she wasn't just talking just to talk when she did bring up the part about relating to Khloe, that it's really hard when you marry someone that you do think you're going to be with forever and something changes who they are. It's not the same as somebody cheating. It changes the person that they will always be all the time.
Right. But Lamar did change a lot. And Kanye was Kanye before Kim.
I agree. But Kim thought, I'm not saying, but Kim thought that Kanye was always going to be crazy Kanye for Kim. Obsessed with her, holding her on a pedestal, always around. And then he became crazy Kanye in Montana, obsessed with other shit, doing other things, and lost his mind even more and became under the bubble of other people. And that's when she thought he's a different person. He's always been crazy, but she thought he'd always be crazy Kim.
Kanye's his own video, but I don't think that man's
Kanye's his own.
I mean, it's his own situation. But I mean, the man, when you were dating him on your third date, basically cleaned out your closet and threw everything away. So I think that was a pretty damn big red flag. But
totally, he's psychotic. But I think she thought he'd always be psychotic for me, and I think Kim wants that. She wants someone who's afraid.
Right, and I like Kanye. It's just that he's just, and
I don't anymore. Ever since him and Kim got divorced, I'm really over him. He lost his marbles. He says horrible things that are anti-Semitic and racist, and he is not showing any kind of respect for any kind of human decency.
I agree with that. I just don't know how the hell you go from being a Jesus freak to whatever he is now with this weird like ink and all that. And he was showing graphic videos to like his staff and all the things that have been coming out with him. It's like, I don't even know who he is. Like, I feel like this isn't even really Kanye. It's some kind of clone or something. Like he said, if you see me come back, I'm a clone. I almost believe it. Like, this man is way crazier than the old Kanye. And I don't know. Once he took all his teeth out and all that, and he's parading his wife around the way he is, it's just crazy. And although right now there are rumors that they're getting divorced.
There are.
He said he has a full domination over his wife in a tweet. And I was like, oh. I mean, for someone who has daughters, it's just really hard to watch the way he's been treating women these days. And especially when you saw him at the Met Gala with Kim, upset that she was going to be showing so much skin. So it's like, what happened? So I get her saying that his personality shift, but Kanye's always been a little bit crazy. But Lamar was not really like that. Like, Lamar just changed because of addiction. Like, Kanye's not addicted, I don't think, to anything but maybe porn, you know?
Yeah, and probably fame and
money,
influence and power. He wanted to be the president. I think sugar, probably.
Sugar?
I mean, aren't we all? But
that and cheese, probably.
Probably, if he's regular.
Caffeine. Regular addictions. But yeah, we do get a little snippet of like Kourtney going to dinner with her family, and we do get like a little birthday dinner at iHop, which I thought was kind of cute to learn that she used to kidnap her friends to go to iHop. Because otherwise I was like, this isn't really the aesthetic. This isn't the Kardashian aesthetic. You can't really cuten up iHop like they were trying to do.
And I'm glad that they're not trying to full on do all of that, because the times where it's a little rough around the edges and funny and silly is the times where I still really enjoy watching the show. But most of the time, Kim is the one keeping the aesthetic of plain and calm and collected and measured, and I don't want to watch that.
You're gonna watch me go from New York to Paris.
I want to watch Kourtney bust a tire in California with all her kids in some kind of old station wagon, and I want to watch Khloe have an awkward conversation that we've all had with our exes and try to navigate that. Those are the things I want to see.
And I love seeing Khloe with her kids. I like seeing them with their kids. Like, I thought it was funny when they were in the car and Rain was like, that guy flipped me off. And Travis was like, did you flip him off? Because he knows exactly who he's talking to.
Yep. And when he denies it, Kourtney says, are you sure? Because she don't even believe him.
He's little Scott. Like, I know people think he might be Justin Bieber's baby, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. But he is like Scott's full personality.
Totally.
Crazy. Back to Khloe and Kris and his conversation. We'll just wrap it up with that. Kris seems pretty emotional. I see her in a confessional get really sad about Khloe and Lamar. I mean, you can tell Kris goes through these relationships with everybody. And he just grows to just genuinely love every single man that comes through there. Kris, you know what? We were talking about old scenes and stuff. I need Kris to start having her neighbors over again for parties. Like, remember when all those guys came over and she was like,
all the rappers, yeah. Or when she would have the martinis at her bar all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, she's giving them out like vodka and cookies.
She would have like half gallons of Grey Goose.
You're like, we're just coming to see our neighbors. If Gay lives here. She's like, come on in.
Right.
She's just like this.
But they do ultimately, 3 women in the room kind of agree that, yes, we all love Lamar and we're sentimental about the times that we were with him, but you know, that's in the past and that has to stay in the past. And I support Khloe with all of that.
Yeah, it kind of echoes like Malika was like, oh, whoever loves someone once, you'll always love them, which I beg to freaking differ, girl. But
yeah,
I think it's different because Khloe and Lamar were married and all that. But I mean, there are many exes that I do not love anymore. It's more like, I wish you well. Okay, I don't wish the best for you. I don't wish the worst for you, but I wish you well. You know, but
there are exes that I still love, yes, but there are exes that it's like, you stay over there, and you know, it's okay if you don't die. But
even my first love, which wasn't actually my first love, but my first boyfriend, I didn't have my first love till later, but first love, my first boyfriend, like my longest relationship other than my husband, like I don't have love for him. At one point I wanted a restraining order. Like I don't have love for him, but I don't have hate for him. I care. Like if I heard something happen to him, I might be sad about it for a little bit,
but the same way you would be for a kind of distant acquaintance.
Exactly. Like someone I might have known in high school or whatever. Yeah. You know, it's not the same. I would care, but it's not like, oh, I still love them. Like, you know, I'm always going to carry a love for them. No, not necessarily. You can love people in different ways. Like, it's not like love. I think love is just a strong word for me to use. I would use care. You always have care for that person.
A lot of times it depends too on how situations ended. And I know situations ended terribly with Khloe and Lamar, but there was also sort of some hope at the end there. And so I think the terribly ended because there was a lot of hurt at the end there because of the hope, where in some situations things are just awful, right? There's no reason for you to love that person nor even care if they are alive. There are people who would wish that their exes are dead. I know that. There are plenty of people who are, you know, can drop in the comments and they're not going to be alone and saying, it'd be cool if my ex never existed. Like, maybe I'm not going to be the one to do it, but
I mean, like there are some exes that are really shmushmusive and things like that.
True. Yeah, those we definitely probably don't all still love. Some of them we do. You know, so love is, like you said, it's a kind of a personal thing. But I think when you have a complex relationship with anybody, you're going to have complex emotions that might sometimes be conflicting.
Oh, that's true.
And hate.
So that's the gist of the first 2 episodes of the Kardashians. I mean, Khloe was really giving the season so far. I'm just, even in the coming up, I'm not that interested in. I think it's Kendall and Kylie go and serve drinks at a bar. And
it's like there might be some upcoming sort of arguments between some of the sisters, which I'm always here for some of the dramas there, but I hope it's at least fun to watch. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited it's here, but I'm just not excited when it's happening. I don't know how else to describe it.
I almost feel like this Lamar thing could have been, I'm surprised they started.
They needed to keep that for the dangled later. That's why when you texted me and you said, are we going to cover Lamar? And it was the first episode, I was taken aback.
Yeah, I was too.
Like, he's already on it.
I was too. I was surprised when I saw him. So that's why I texted. I was like, we're going to cover him already? And you're like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, he's in this episode.
We'll be coming to cover, I think, highlights such as this. If there's other things that happen or kind of start feeling like there's some things for us to catch up on, we'll try to keep you all up with the Kardashians, and we hope that you watch along.
Yeah, we might not be back next week with an update, but whenever we see anything interesting, we'll hop on.
Yeah. Don't forget to let us know how you're feeling about the season. Leave some comments, like our video, subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to also click the copy link button. Share, copy link. It'd be cool if you shared it with a friend, but you don't have to. Just copy it. Copy it a couple of times. It helps us mucho grande.
All right. Well, reduce, reuse, recycle Rihanna and goodbye. And don't forget about Rihanna. Although I'm sure the Kardashians would like to forget about her, especially Kendall.